Good day and welcome everyone. We're truly glad that you could join us today. Thank you for taking your time and be a part of this episode of our Koop Kapihan, and we're excited to share a meaningful and insightful discussion with you. We hope today's episode gives you something valuable to reflect on, so sit back, relax, and stay with us as we begin this episode of our Koop Kapihan of the Cooperative Development Authority. We are honored to be with us today, our head of the Finance Cooperative Cluster, Asek Luz H. Irinco, who will share her insights and accomplishments as well as the pipeline programs of our cluster. Asek Luz?
Thank you, Joe. Magandang buhay sa lahat, no? We are here to discuss a lot of things that involves the Finance Cooperatives Cluster. At mas gaganda pa ang ating mga buhay dahil meron talagang mga bagong initiatives ang ating Cooperatives Finance Cluster.
Thank you, Asek Luz. Also joining us today is Attorney Maria Lourdes P. Pacao, the officer in charge of the Office of the Administrator of the Cooperative Development Authority.
Yes, thank you, Director Jojo. Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. I am excited to share with you one of the newest programs of the Cooperative Development Authority.
Thank you, Attorney Malu. We also have the Chief of the Inspection and Examination Division of the Credit Surety Fund Service of the Cooperative Development Authority. We have Ms. Joanne Gamboa.
Thank you, Sir Jojo, and good day, everyone. I am happy to share with you po some information about RA 11765 and the new program under the Credit Surety Fund program.
So there you have it. Why not give a big round of applause to all our distinguished guests present at this day? So let me start, of course, with our Asek Luz Irinco, the head of the Finance Cluster of Cooperatives. This question, Asek, can you briefly explain the role of the Cooperatives Finance Cluster in strengthening the financial sector of our cooperatives?
All right. Thank you, Joe. The Cooperatives Finance Cluster will oversee policies, programs, and partnerships that is going to strengthen the financial soundness as well as good governance, and this is going to take effect towards the sustainability of cooperatives financial institutions. This includes ensuring that the regulatory compliance and then promoting also risk management, improving access to finance, and aligning the cooperatives with the national financial inclusion initiatives, such as those involving the Credit Information Corporation and PDIC.
So, Asek, you made mention of the CIC, the Credit Information Corporation, and the PDIC. So I guess our audience now is very much excited to know how these agencies or organizations work for our cooperatives. So, Asek, what is the significance of the Credit Information Corporation to the cooperative sector?
Okay, so first, there is a so-called the CISA law, no? Which is being managed now by the Credit Information Corporation. And this is going to be a critical role in improving the credit discipline and transparency by providing reliable credit information for cooperatives. And this is going to enhance credit risk assessment, reduce loan defaults, and promote responsible borrowing among members. In effect, we will be able to identify the creditworthiness of those who will apply for loans in our cooperatives. So the risk is managed, and we are assured that the data will always be available to cooperatives.
So nice to hear that, Asek. No? So with this Credit Information Corporation, our cooperatives have their way to provide credit information. But we would like to know, Asek, are there challenges that we met in of especially our cooperatives, in keeping up with the requirements
There
as
are.
provided by the Credit Information Corporation?
Yes, there are a lot of challenges, like access to their portal, which is the co-ops have difficulty. A lot of our cooperatives are not yet digitalized. So these are the challenges that really paralyzes the co-op in complying with the CISA law. However, the partnership with the CIC is very significant. Like they are conducting a hands-on, face-to-face, and even online workshops, which will mentor the cooperatives towards compliance of the CISA law through the CIC. And we have also linked our cooperatives with federations that can already access the same to CIC with a minimal fee. So collaborative efforts between federations and the primary cooperatives are now going on to comply with the provisions of the CISA law.
So it's nice to hear that all our cooperatives are now keeping up with the requirements so that they can comply with the CISA law.
Yeah.
So you also made mention a while ago, ASEC Luz, regarding the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation, the PDIC. How do you think, how our co-op deposit, on your viewpoint, will be protected?
Very well protected, in as much as if there is a deposit insurance, the fear of members in depositing to cooperatives will be completely erased. Therefore, because whenever there are hitches or glitches in the operations of cooperatives, the PDIC will answer for the savings deposit of cooperatives, just like in banks now, no? So that's why we are trying to talk with the PDIC that as cooperatives, we should be included in the program of the savings insurance. And while other federations are having the so-called stabilization fund, however, this is not widely operational because of the necessity for the cooperatives to really be compliant with the prudential standards and very minimal submissions also from the primary cooperatives. But when PDIC would come in, I think this is going to come up with a very wide participation from cooperatives because this is going to be a government-backed insurance system for savings deposits of cooperatives. So malaking bagay when people are confident they're going to put in their money to cooperatives instead of banks. And this is going to be a good boost in capital mobilization among our cooperatives.
So I agree with you, ASEC Luz, no? So if our cooperative members feel that their investment or their savings with our cooperatives are duly protected, the member participation will be increasing. So you are saying, ASEC, that the PDIC is very relative, or relevant rather, to cooperative financial institutions.
Definitely, Joe.
So how can you expound on that relevance?
The relevance is that there is already a safety net that will be established because the PDIC would also require the cooperatives to come up with strict prudential standards to follow so that the insurance will not also be in a losing end. So in effect, regulations will have to be accomplished by the cooperatives under the PDIC system. So there will be a lot of changes. This is what I call the tough love principle, where you will have to be tough because you love the cooperatives. And even the Bible also tells us that spare the rod and spoil the child. So this will now be the language of the finance cooperatives cluster because we are taking care of people's money, hard-earned money.
So with that, ASEC, no? So it's nice to hear that one. No? But with that, do you think cooperatives in the finance cluster involved in deposit taking must also be insured?
Of course, because for the longest time we have experienced a lot of setbacks in cooperatives, because there is no deposit insurance, that will straighten up how the co-ops operate, and at the same time, trust is not built. As long as there are no prudential standards observed, trust will not be taken out, and trust will not be established. Therefore, we have difficulties in accessing capital, additional capital to expand the businesses of our cooperatives. So we need cheaper funds, and that is in the form of savings deposits from members. And the multiplier effect of which would be bigger and better income from cooperatives.
Yes, no. So I agree with ASEC Luz, and with this new this is not new program. The Credit Information Corporation is already with our cooperatives for a while. Our PDIC is now looking at the opportunity or making the cooperatives a part of their engagement, where they are going to provide security on the deposits of our cooperative members. So with this in the pipeline, what are the initiatives of the finance cluster regarding PDIC, for example?
Yeah. The PDIC will not accept us unless we are able to observe prudential standards. That's why we have already issued the memorandum circular for cooperatives to really use prudential standards in their operations. Once we straighten up the operations of cooperatives, they are compliant with the prudential standards, it would be easier for PDIC to cover us. And at the same time, when it becomes institutionalized, all of the investing public will have that level of confidence, just like they trust in banks. So this is what we are looking at for cooperatives to really be trusted financial institutions.
So thank you for that, no, ASEC Luz. So you are mentioning, before we can link our cooperatives to the benefit that PDIC will provide, we have to set up prudential standards.
Of course.
Yes.